When designing and planning speaking assignments, there are a few core things to keep in mind. In this short video, I'll address how to effectively plan for class time, some ways to reduce student anxiety, constructing effective rubrics, and thinking about some genres of speaking assignments. Since speaking assignments are face-to-face activities, that means you might need to plan your semester a little bit differently. When creating your course schedule, add in an open day at the end of the semester. That way, in case, God forbid, there's a snow day or something else that interferes with the planned speaking day, you've got a day already built in which you can do it. If you don't need the time for speaking assignments, you can use it to review content before final exams or papers. Over the years, I've developed this formula that you can use to plan for how many days you need for each speaking assignment. If you want to hit pause to copy down the formula, this might be the time to do it. First, take the number of students you have in your class, multiply that by the upper time limit you've allowed for the speech, plus 2 minutes. Divide that by the minutes in your class period, and you'll arrive at the number of speaking days. Let's see what this looks like with some actual numbers. Let's say you've got 22 students in your class, a speech assignment that's 4 to 6 minutes long, so add 2 minutes to the 6 to allow time for each student to get up and down in between each presentation, which would give you 8 minutes in total. 22 times 8 equals 176 minutes. Assuming your class period is 75 minutes long, take your 176 minutes and divide it by 75 minutes, and you'll arrive at a total of 2.35. Since you can't cut up class periods like that, that means you'll need to allow 3 days in the schedule for this speaking assignment. I like to divide students equally over each speaking day except for the first day and sometimes the last. It takes students a bit to get into the rhythm of the assignment, and having fewer students scheduled on that first day allows extra leeway. If you're having students use PowerPoint or similar software during presentations, here's a pro tip. Have everyone load their presentations onto the central class computer before starting. Because speaking is a relational activity, meaning you have to do it with other people, there could be a high degree of anxiety associated with it. I love this quote by Mark Twain. There are two kinds of speakers, those that are nervous and those that are lying. One tool for helping students manage their anxiety and build their success is to provide them with a set of how-to resources on effective speaking. I personally like this book by Dale Carnegie because it costs less than $10 and is an easy and inexpensive add-on to any class. However, you can do an Amazon or Google search and find other similar resources which may be more to your liking. Whichever resources you choose, it's important that students feel they have a pathway that helps them build their way to success. At Bridgewater State University, we have a communication lab available to students which helps support them in developing speaking assignments. Found in the Academic Achievement Center, the Communication Lab is a supportive space to help students with any phase of speech development. One of the most effective things you can do to reduce student anxiety and build speaking skills is to scaffold both skills and assignments. Because it's too long a topic to address here, I have a separate video focused solely on that. Students are sometimes anxious about speaking assignments because, unlike written assignments, students feel that speaking assignments are graded on a much more opaque and subjective manner. To make it clear to your students that you are grading them on objective standards and are looking for them to develop specific skills, create very explicit and detailed rubrics for speaking assignments. These will both create transparency and trust in the classroom. There are many varieties of rubrics you can use, but this is an example of one I use in my class for an informative speech. You'll notice that for each element, introduction, content, conclusion, etc., I have very specific elements that I'm looking for students to achieve. Having a detailed rubric will not only make it easier for you to grade more effectively, but it will help students know what specifics you think are important. In addition to including a rubric with your assignment instructions, make sure that the instructions also explicitly link back to key course goals and objectives. Especially when it comes to speaking assignments, it's important that students know that what they're doing up at the front of the class connects to what the course goals are. Last but not least, let's give some thought to speaking assignment genres. One of the classic speaking assignment genres is an informative speech. For instance, having students do a demonstration of a skill or technique, having students present course content, or having students research new concepts and present them to the class. Another classic assignment genre is persuasive speaking. You might have students prepare an infomercial, lead or participate in a debate, or present a problem-solution speech. You might also want to think about ways in which you can incorporate discussion as a graded component, both in speaking assignments themselves and as course participation overall. Thinking through these key components will hopefully help you plan effective speaking assignments that promote classroom engagement and involvement.